Easy. Don't freak out. I know it's not 7:40, but we take him when we get him. He's a busy guy. He texts me at 4:15 a.m. locally my time, which is ballsy by him. Like, what if I was dead asleep?
You're already awake. You're grinding. You're ready to go.
But I responded within maybe 40 seconds because I was doing dishes at that time. So that's where my life is. Josh Pate, the commissioner of college football, on Twitter at Josh Pate CFB, the Josh Pate College Football Show every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. He'll be in Eugene this weekend.
Yes, he will.
He teased it weeks and weeks ago. USC held up their end of the bargain, and now we've got a big game down there at Autzen Stadium, so Josh Pate will be in town. Good morning, Josh. Thank you for being flexible and texting us to get on the show. We do appreciate it. I'm going to start with James Franklin. He held his intro presser yesterday. They seem pretty fired up over there to have him. I have a thought that I think the ACC collectively is shaking in their boots over this hire. He may not be able to beat a top 10 team, but as I look today, Josh, there are no top 10 teams in the ACC. Your thoughts on James Franklin and his intro presser yesterday?
Yeah, I would think great things if I were in the ACC league office because we need a lot more of that in our conference, which is just a total bakery right now. We need steak. It's okay to have cupcake, but you need some steak on the menu. And we just got cupcake and then Miami, which should be steak, but I don't know. It's really, really pumped full of water and it's undercooked and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's what's happening right now. Now, as for, whether if I were Georgia Tech or if I were FSU, no, I wouldn't be thrilled that a guy who was in the semifinals of the playoff 10 months ago has all of a sudden descended into Blacksburg, Virginia, which just the scenes yesterday, like the snapshots, James Franklin talking to the Hokie mascot, holding up the VT flag. If you were to have been shown that even 3 months ago,
No.
What are you thinking? You're thinking AI's out of control. You're thinking they got to stop with these edits. And instead, oh, no, that's just 3 months down the road, bud. You're in overtime against Oregon, but you will be the Virginia Tech head coach by the end of the year.
Just wild. It makes absolutely no sense. I'm curious to ask you, and I hate that college football has kind of become this where this is the most meaningful time of the season, but some of the storylines that we focus the most on is who's coaching and who's not coaching. I give Virginia Tech a lot of credit for getting that deal done. Are we potentially on the brink of the first head coach not coaching in the college football playoff?
I would say right now that the odds are more likely than not that that's about to happen with Lane.
Oh.
Now, I know his side would push back on that and say, how could you possibly do that? And then the other side would say, how could you possibly do this to us? There's a lot of talk about that. There's a lot of talk about, like the audacity of coaches to be interviewing for jobs in the middle of the season. Shame on these agents. Shame on these ADs for firing coaches in week 5 and conducting coaching searches congruent with the season. Well, I was sitting at my desk the other day, and I was thinking about that, and we were putting a show together for Sunday. I was going to talk about just the normal stuff, and I all of a sudden had this epiphany. It happens to be about once or twice a year at most, but I had a great thought, and the thought was, what are we doing? Are we idiots? This is not the problem. It's a byproduct of the problem. The problem is the calendar. So I was doing Get Up a little bit earlier, and, Mike Greenberg dips his toe into college football at best. So I got to put it in NFL terms for our guy. And he said, why is this happening? And I said, well, think about NFL. And what if I snap my fingers and all of a sudden in the NFL draft was the week of the divisional round playoff games.
Yeah.
And the free agency period was the week before the Super Bowl. How would the hiring cycle work then? And, his eyes are wide open because that when it occurs to you that way and when it's presented to you that way, you realize how stupid college football is in terms of the calendar, and you realize guys have no other alternative. Unless you're just going to stay at one job forever, which has never been the case and it never will be the case, and unless you're just going to keep the same head coach forever, which has never been the case and never will be the case, given the current constraints of the calendar, you've got to do it this way. Yeah. I've just completely hit the emergency brake on criticizing coaches or ADs or agents for it. They're just operating under the parameters that they have to operate under. The calendar's the mess. But when you ask who's responsible for that, that's a lot muddier. Those are nameless. Those are faceless. Those are over in the shadows. Those are stop peeling back the curtain. We like it in the dark. We don't like the light. Typical cockroach behavior. Yeah. So that's what we're dealing with right now.
Dirk, could you hand me that right over
yeah,
there?
You got it. Yeah,
there you go. Here you go, Josh. Here's the name you dropped right there. There's the Mike Greenberg special there. Jeez.
Dude, the monologue the other night, Pate, on like the Big Ten focusing on a 2014 playoff and like, why is this what we're trying to change right now? I don't even have a question here. I just want to give you a round of applause because there are so many things broken with the sport that we're not even trying to fix, but that's the one thing we're actively trying to change.
It is interesting. Like I tend to agree with that too. I think the sport is largely broken, and I say this and it gets misinterpreted. I think it can be broken, and also we can acknowledge it's the second biggest sport in America. Like, people watch the sport, they're watching it at record highs. We had multiple 10 million viewer games last weekend. Like, people are in. They just don't know internally how to quite navigate the field. So I want to ask you kind of a two-parter there on the follow-up. So it feels like, or it sounds like to me, you think Lane is gone. Do you think he's gone to LSU? And is there any element, despite what you said and how truthful it is, that still makes you kind of just like, you really might not coach your team in a playoff? Like, that team's good. That team could get to a national championship game. And I understand the calendar part, but like, you just don't want to coach it because you got to get somewhere before a certain date. It's just so bizarre to me. No matter what the calendar is, it's all bizarre.
Yeah. So, look, not to betray confidence here, I think I've probably talked to Lane 15 times this week. It's been a fascinating week. I firstly don't know that anything's nailed down. My personal gut feel on it is probably more likely than not he leaves. You notice I've used that terminology twice already, which sounds like fence riding. It's really not. It's just the actual state of affairs right now. It's very fluid in multiple aspects of the sport, including whether Lane Kiffin's going to leave Ole Miss. What I do think is you're looking at really an unprecedented set of circumstances where an argument can be made both ways. Clearly, you could make the argument that, oh, you got to let the guy ride it out. You only may get one shot at the playoffs. How could you do this? And then the other part is from the Ole Miss part. Okay, but if he's in our building, that means he could be recruiting our players away to a conference opponent. Certainly we can't let that happen because also, if he's around here, that means we're not hiring our new coach because our current coach is not gone yet. And so, yeah, it's a huge mess. But I think, and this is all lowercase, THINK. Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
I think he's going to go. I just don't really know which one. It could be Florida. It could be LSU. Who knows, man? Some third job could come open he's a candidate for that we don't know of.
Yeah. All of a sudden, the Texas job might be open, but Sark's putting cold water on that. Let's get to the football, all right? Enough of this coaching nonsense. Let's get to the football because there's a big one in Eugene, Oregon. And a credit to you because you rolled the dice earlier this year.
Yeah, you did.
Trusting Lincoln Riley and USC to do, hold up their end of the bargain, as my co-host said, and they did. And here we go. The biggest game of the weekend in the sport is in Eugene. Just your thoughts as you look ahead to jumping on a bird later tonight and heading back out to Oregon.
Okay. Now, do we feel like this is a play-in game and a play-out game? Is that the sentiment up there about
that? Is the sentiment 100%, without a doubt, yes. Especially where Oregon is at in the rankings.
Yep.
Well, that makes me a little nervous. I agree. I just wanted to make sure everyone agrees. That makes me a little nervous. All right. So, that being said, what position would you rather be in? If you have Autzen Stadium at your back, and kind of like Georgia, you already lost a home game earlier this year. You don't let that happen twice. I just watched Georgia school Texas after they lost to Bama at home earlier this year. Well, Oregon, same way. They lost to Indiana. You really got to take care of business against USC. USC, I've seen them on the road this year several times, saw them against Illinois. That was in person. We've also seen them play Notre Dame. I'm of the opinion they don't beat Nebraska if Raiola doesn't go down in that game. So, we've seen them be very vulnerable on the road. And now they come into your building, which should be the toughest environment they've played in all year. It may be one of, if not the best teams they've played all year. I'm looking at whether Oregon's getting healthy at the right time at wide receiver. Kenyon Sadiq, it doesn't matter if he's crippled on Thursday or Friday. He'll just go off for 8 and 150 on Saturday. So, here's the way I look at these games. If you can't get it done, you don't deserve the playoff. And I'm speaking if I'm an Oregon fan. I know technically Selection Sunday, their resume could be compared to so-and-so, and they may deserve the 11 seed. I'm thinking about a national championship at Oregon, and if I can't take care of business, if I lose twice in my home building, I don't really deserve a shot at the national championship, which is great because we're speaking in the future tense. That means it's all in front of us. That means our fate is entirely in our hands. The one thing that the paper says about the game is that Oregon's got a top 5 pass defense. the paper said Pitt had a top 3 run defense last week, and Notre Dame didn't really care about that. So do Lemon and Lane, does Lincoln Riley, do they really care? Does that paper verify, or does it, turn soggy and get ripped to pieces? That is the path for USC to win this game. I just think there are way more paths for Oregon to win the game, which is why I leaned Oregon to win. And let me whisper this, Oregon to cover.
Amen, brother. This is Josh Pate, the commissioner of college football. Every Sunday, Tuesday, and today, Thursday, he's got a show, Josh Pate College Football Show on YouTube. As he likes to mention, it is free to subscribe.
Yes, it is.
And it helps him keep the show free to you, me, and everybody else in college football. It's college football 24/7. 364 because that one day of the year is dedicated to tornado chasing.
Sure, one day a year.
Right, and that's
Set
fair.
it aside.
We understand that. He's very busy this week, so we appreciate him coming on a little earlier on Thursday than he normally does. I want to ask you, you went through this on your show, and I found it really interesting, and one thing that stuck out was you said through the USC side of things, it appears to be changing. We've had a couple guests. We had Yogi Roth. We've had Ryan Abraham, who covers USC, and they've all kind of said similar stuff. Like, it appears to be changing on the upward. And I kept thinking, like, okay, I understand. But year one, they won 11 games. They were in a conference title game, and they haven't been anything close to that since. So, like, I see why people think that, but what is it truly that makes, or I should believe, they're going the right direction versus maybe he's just having a good year and the schedule's broken his way? Because his home road splits are atrocious. They are such a worse team on the road than home. So I don't know what to really make of USC right now.
Yeah, so if you're making the argument that it's progression, maybe even that it's linear progression, you got to consider where they will have started. So they started in a really bad place. So even if they've gotten to where they're just pretty good, that is progress. So pretty good to me would be they beat Michigan by running the football against Michigan. That's something I don't think they would have done 2 years ago. They beat Iowa playing that style of game. Now, you could talk about any conditions and caveats you want to throw on the games, but they won the game. They went and beat Nebraska. Well, yeah, but Dylan Raiola went down. That's true, but they won it in an ugly fashion. So those are the kind of things I would look at, and I would say, yeah, this is not – I mean, we're not looking at USC saying, boy, this is Ohio State West Coast. No, it's not that. It's not even Oregon South. It's not that yet. But from the starting point they were at to how they've improved on the total defensive numbers, how they've improved on being able to run the ball. Even I think a couple of you got carries for them last week. So if that's how I'm looking at USC, I can make the argument they've improved. Now, they're still a long way from where they need to be considered one of the best in the sport. So we always have to speak conditionally about it.
By the way, for Duck fans, go check out the Fall Don't Lie shirt because it's awesome. I got my hands on one. It's on the way, and I can't wait to rock that bad boy. Last one I got for you on the game, Pate. I'm just curious. You mentioned is the number fake on their pass defense, and I think there's some validity to that. Not quite a Pitt comp because of the talent composite on the roster, but it's not like Oregon's been tested by elite passing offenses all year. And maybe this is the answer to the question, but what is the most important position group for them on Saturday? Because I tend to agree with your prediction for the game. I'm just curious, when you look at it, if it goes that way, what's the group that has the best game?
You mean if Oregon wins and covers?
Yeah, if Oregon wins and covers.
Yeah, so it's tailback or wide receiver is where I would go, because I think either one, like if we look at a situation where they really stretch USC, I don't know. Stylistically, it would be because they just ran it at will and USC couldn't stop them. So, theoretically, I would think tailback there. But I also think explosivity through the air is going to be a big part of this. So it could be that they had a nice balanced box score type attack. That's all going to be predicated off the ground game. So my answer is going to be tailback. But I think in the process of that setting up the rest of the offense, one or two of those receivers or Sadiq could just absolutely go off.
Thank you for hopping on early today and texting me to reschedule. I do appreciate that. I had 12 Days of Christmas stuck in my head because I heard it. I think it's the worst Christmas song. Where's Josh Pate on Christmas music at this point? Do you partake at all? Are you an earlier Christmas guy? Is the wife suddenly decorating and it's like mid-November?
Yeah.
What are the Pates like around this time of year?
All right. She just walked out the door, so we can be real with this. I hate it here. I can't stand all this stuff. We've had a Christmas tree up since, I think, Halloween. And to me, that is so disrespectful to Thanksgiving. And ironically, I'm far more thankful for Thanksgiving than I am these decorations. I'm all about keeping the Christ in Christmas. I'm all about it. That's not what I'm saying. I love Christmas. I hate Christmas music. I hate the Christmas accessories. If you could make me some original new Christmas music, that'd be fine. But these recording artists just playing the hits that to me are not hits to begin with. I don't need Rascal Flatts singing Jingle Bells to me. I don't need it. I've never needed it. I hope I haven't been unclear.
Do you watch Hallmark movies with her?
We're over time, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
I think we're over.
You're right.
I don't want to answer it.
Yeah, okay.
No comment.
The answer is yes.
Yeah.
The answer is
We
yes.
all
I don't
do
want
it.
to say it.
They're terrible, but they're great. All right, let's just be honest.
Let me guess, they're going to fall in love.
Yeah, it's Santa Claus. Josh Pate College Football Show every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. Of course, as you mentioned, on ESPN, all the major platforms at this point. Give him a follow on social at Josh Pate CFB on Twitter, and follow the Instagram. The Instagram's great, behind-the-scenes stuff. He gives his picks for the weekend. It's great content. Pate, enjoy the trip. Fly safe. Thank you for hopping on, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, appreciate it, guys.
All right, there we go. Josh Pate, the commissioner of college football.
Well done.
Wow.
Well done.
That was great. That was a good hit.
That was a good hit. Early morning hit. Little shot of life in the 6 a.m. hour.
Didn't even
with
need an
Josh
energy
Pate.
drink there. Woo!
Yeah, he's 3 hours ahead of us, so he's ready to go.